I think one way of looking at dyslexia is in really the big picture. One of the favorite ideas of mine is that from one of the neurologists who points out that the dyslexic kind of mind is not going to exist in the population over long periods of time unless it's useful in some way. And one of its usefulness is it's different from what they call ordinary brains. And this, when you're dealing with new technologies or new situations, it's really a powerful advantage to have this group of people. In fact, the neurologists argue that it may be an important part of the survival of the human race. It depends upon these extraordinary people.
My name's Lewis, I'm 14 and I live in Malvern. Being dyslexic means that I can picture an object in my head, and for example, if I take a three-dimensional object, place it in my head, I can rotate it to any angle which I please. As I'm really into mountain bikes and mountain bike designing, when I leave school I would love to become a designer. And I can imagine as if something was being put under pressure, where it would crack first and things like that. I think that I'd be a good designer because I have the ideas to put it all down on paper. And in some ways, I think one day I could even be the best.
When we look at an important person like Einstein, it's very interesting to see that his accomplishments are really tied very much into his visual-spatial way of looking at the world. And it really, in a sense, you could say it's because of his dyslexia, this propensity to handle everything visually, and also have this trouble with words, that he was able to accomplish what he accomplished. He had such difficulty with words. In his early life, he had difficulty learning to speak, or spoke late in any case. And in school, when much of the educational system was asking him to repeat memorized texts, he was very poor at, but he was very good at high-level thinking and science and mathematics.
I'm Sarah, I'm 14 and I live in Madley. I really enjoy art. It's my best subject at school, and after school I'd like to go to art college and do foundation course and maybe do photography with it. I see in images, like if someone's telling me a story, I can see it in my head. So I'd like to be a film director. It's frustrating being dyslexic because you think really fast and you can't get it down on paper fast enough with a pen. But I've got this computer recognition thing, and you just speak into it and it writes it out for you, but you have to do it word at a time. My history teacher judged me by my handwriting because it was quite messy. He thought I wasn't very clever. But then I did my coursework on the computer and he thought it was really excellent. And I think teachers should encourage dyslexic people to do good in the subjects that they enjoy and can do, and encourage them in the ones that they're not so good at, but don't make them do pointless things like learn spellings over and over again.
During World War II, when Winston Churchill was trying to understand what was going on, particularly in the early days when the Allies were virtually losing every battle on every front, it's just amazing. I think part of the thing that draws me to Churchill is being able to hold up under failure after failure after failure, which of course dyslexics seem to or be destined to learn to do. But one of the things is that the way his information was communicated to him, he had his staff actually convert the numbers and statistics into very visual graphics and diagrams so they could easily absorb this information graphically. Also, another thing he did was quite extraordinary. He would commit to memory the exact positions of all the ships on the oceans, and he would update this every few hours. And the first thing he did when he woke up and the last thing he did when he went to bed is he'd have sort of memorize the positions of all the convoys and everything that was going on in the most incredible way. So he's handling information visually, but in a very intense way that you wouldn't think that someone in that position would do.
My name's Alistair, I'm 19 and I'm in my final year of A-levels. I own a Trout Spitfire. She's 25 years old, and like any old British sports car, she's always in constant need of repair. Although being dyslexic, you would think it was always causing you problems, but when it comes to repairing an engine on a car, it's actually quite easy because everything is in patterns to you, and these patterns are really quite easy to understand. Practical subjects always are easier just because you learn something new and you don't need to write something down. It's in your hands. With an engine, you take things apart, nuts and bolts. In the end, it's hugely satisfying and you always want to improve. If I hear some sound in the engine bay, I always think, oh no, something else is going, so I've got to try and improve it.
We have to somehow learn to be flexible enough to be able to see the talent that's hidden underneath sort of lower level difficulties. And just because someone can't spell, that doesn't mean they can't become a great writer. Or someone who has trouble with their times table doesn't mean that they can't be a great mathematician.
My name is Julie Logan. I'm a lecturer at the University of Bristol. My research is into dyslexia and creativity in owner-managers. Many of these owner-managers were highly successful. The attributes they had which contributed to this success were an ability to visualise the business, how it would be in the future, tremendous energy and enthusiasm, and above all, excellent communication skills, so that they could actually tell people how they saw their business in the future.
These will go off. Basically the bouquets go, then there's 5 2-inch, 2 3-inch and a 4. My name's Andrew Collins and I run Fire Magic Fireworks. I think being dyslexic has allowed me to understand my workforce better and certainly have an active role in with what they're doing, and it's not a case of that we segregate ourselves from them using a hierarchy. It tends to be that I'm hands-on with them, I like to get involved with them and communicate directly with them, because positive feedback I've found has been very good in helping to motivate them and motivate myself. I mean, fireworks are obviously a very visual thing, but when you're designing a show, you have to take several hundred different fireworks and make them merge together in order to make something rather spectacular. I think dyslexia has allowed me to visualise exactly what is needed to achieve a successful business, and that is how I've made Fire Magic what it is today.
Obviously, it's not just dyslexic people who have this tremendous ability to visualise or who have excellent verbal skills. Many other people have it, but my survey just showed that these managers used those particular skills to achieve in their businesses.
Well, in the end, this curious relationship between dyslexia and new technologies really means that the whole rules of the game have been changed, and the students who are at the bottom of the class in the old verbal system are going to be at the top of the class in the new visual system, and that will change everything.
If you consider that when we watch science fiction stories like Star Trek, then the whole of the action takes place without paper. And therefore, the idea that we could have somebody with dyslexia in charge of the Starship Enterprise is now a real prospect.
Imagine that.
The absolute best thing about working on this film was meeting other dyslexics and comparing their worries to mine.
I've become a lot more self-confident. I don't mind going up to people now and saying, hey, I'm dyslexic, which I used to. I used to sort of pick out who I was going to tell. And, you know, closest friends, I'd tell them and swear them secretly that they wouldn't tell anybody if they found out. But now I don't mind. I'll just go out and tell everybody, by the way, I'm dyslexic.
I wouldn't choose and change myself not to be dyslexic, because being dyslexic is who I am and that makes me who I am. And I think people should accept that and not want to change me or correct me.
The best thing about doing this film was that I could get my point of view across to other people, and other dyslexics can relate to how we're feeling.
The best thing about making this film is that we did it without writing a script.
And so the whole experience of this project has been unique and extremely good fun.
Did you hear about the dyslexic devil worshipper? He sold his soul to Santa.